Not a lot of news this week here, folks.
No.
Just because, well, most of the news has been announced. There's no more news. The news is out.
Everything has happened.
There are peaks and valleys with the news.
We could follow media news, and our news would just basically be me saying how much I disliked other media. That would be like if we followed the main thing. I'd be main commenter from Watch It Played says he's leaving gaming. Just kidding. Anyhow.
Fake news.
Yeah, fake news or just like snarky news.
News.
Rodney Smith caught wearing flannel shirt. Stupid stuff.
No one would believe that. Come on.
No, I don't think so.
Anyhow, but here's real news.
Good weather, though, I'll tell you that. I bet it's cold. Let's talk about cold.
Zee, when we open up our Canadian brand.
I was going to say.
I want to run. I want to headquarter that.
For someone that hates the heat as much, you're not living in the correct area. I'm just saying. I mean, there are plenty of places with frigid, disgustingly cold and miserable weather that you could...
I don't want to live there. I want to go there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you want to visit.
I
get
go for a week. Be like, oh my goodness, it's so good. And then I enjoy that, and I enjoy the return where I can go outside, and I'm like, oh, a single layer. Oh, it's wonderful. That it's a reminder to appreciate the heat, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
You might be wondering where the news is. Here we go.
I'm still wondering.
Okay.
This is a Coyote Crow dice game. Is it Nazi? Nazi?
Nasi.
So this is the same mythology as there was another game not too long ago with a really shiny that they made that really like foiled game.
Yes.
That I think uses the same mythology.
Right. What? I can't remember what it was called.
Well, either way, this is based on a role-playing game called Coyote and Crow.
Okay.
But this is a dice game here. It focuses on indigenous culture. And it's a push your luck game where you roll 12-sided dice to create sets and runs of numbers. I'm assuming you like this look a lot.
I do. Yeah. This is a cool-looking box. Neat name,
I agree.
Cool look.
Yeah, it's a good-looking thing. And push your luck dice games, I mean, there's a lot of them out there, but I tend to like them.
12-sided dice, so that's
I like
interesting.
12-sided dice. All right, our next piece of news here is for Mike, and that is the Hello Kitty Loteria. This is from the Op. So
I'm going to guess Loteria.
Loteria. You know what? There's a fast food restaurant in Korea called Loteria or whatever, Loteria, whatever it's called. That is essentially the main, it's their McDonald's. I mean, McDonald's is there too, but this is the Korean version.
Okay.
It's better than McDonald's in Korea. Anyway.
I would not be surprised by that.
Big shocker. It's better.
But yeah, this is like lottery is what that is. So
yeah, this
it looks like a bingo-esque kind of thing.
Well, actually,
there you go, yeah.
It is a variation of the traditional Mexican game of chance, Loteria, which is often called Mexican bingo.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm familiar with Mexican dominoes.
Sure.
But I've never heard of Mexican bingo before. So this must be like like they said, a traditional game that they're just theming in the Hello Kitty, But
I want to know how this, like in the ops, idea room.
Yeah.
Some guy's like, we need to make a Hello Kitty game, and just then a guy walks through the door and goes, you know what, guys, we should make a Mexican bingo game, and they're like, done.
Yeah, there you go.
And the Hello Kitty guy's like, no, that's not what I meant. They're like, too late. You guys were like next to each other.
These two things happened at the same time. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know how these two things. Why put these together? I'm not sure.
Hello Kitty though is still immensely popular.
It is immensely popular, but they could have done a like Hello Kitty Day of the Dead look meets Loteria. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
I just don't get where's the crossover here? I don't get why this.
Well, it's similar. It's similar to the Pokemon point salad, right? I mean, it's just like.
You're right. I mean,
yeah.
It looks cute enough. I mean, I'm not a big Hello Kitty fan, but if you are, this is probably going to be a neat game for you.
I would assume that if it's like a traditional game, it's probably very simple, very rules light, and maybe that fits with an IP like this.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Very chance heavy,
Yeah,
I assume.
right.
All right. The next game is called Fork, which it's too late. We showed this to everyone. I should have said, guess what fork is.
Right.
If the first word is fox, what do you think the other ones are? And I'm pretty sure you might guess owl.
Or octopus.
You might even guess rabbit.
Right. But kale?
You're not guessing kale as the fourth one.
Yeah.
So I think this is fox eats owl, owl eats rabbit, rabbit eats kale.
Right, it's a food chain thing.
I was thinking, humans eat kale and rabbit. We don't eat owls and
humans
foxes,
eat kale? Not in my house.
No,
That's
yeah,
not true.
kale
That's
is
not true.
terrible.
There's a bag of kale in the fridge right now.
I know, but it's not my bag of kale. I can
It's
tell you that.
mine.
I know. You've been eating very healthy lately. You've been.
Yeah, that kale is one of those things where I'm like, it's not as bad as people said it was.
No. I'm sorry. No. There's eating healthy and there's having basic self-respect.
I would tell
You've
you
gone
this,
too
though.
far. There's also lettuce. You don't need to eat kale.
I'm using both.
Lettuce is water. Kale actually has some like nutritional value. I don't like eating kale. I find it bitter. However, I have found that if you stick it in
The
a
trash.
blender with other things that actually taste better, like fruits and things like that, in a smoothie, it's not bad.
See,
I've had kale in a
I don't
smoothie
like
and it's not bad.
I like kale in salads because it matches the salad. Like, no.
It matches the color and maybe the texture.
No, it matches the texture, and the
Doesn't
taste
match
is not that far off. But I'll tell you what, it doesn't match delicious fruit. Okay? Whenever I see a smoothie and they put kale in it, I feel like that's just
Ruin fruit.
The fruit masks the flavor of the kale. See, we weren't going to talk about food today, folks. The fruit.
Anyway, this is a trick-taking game.
right,
It's coming from Tate Wu, Sunrise Tornado Game Studio. It has 4 suits and numbered cards. With the suits are obviously fox, owl, rabbit, kale.
Right.
One person leads a trick. Everyone else follows the trick, but except for foxes, because foxes are wild. Kales are played face up. Everything else is face down.
Oh, interesting.
The highest number takes a trick. Foxes can take owls. If the owl survives, takes a rabbit, and so on and so forth. The goal is to score the most animals. It's going to crowdfunding.
I think this is an older game
January.
that is maybe being redone.
It definitely sounds like a esoteric trick-taking game, but I'm in it. I'm in it.
I would definitely play it. There's a lot of these kind of riffs on trick-taking going around, and some of them work better than others for me, but I'm interested.
I think it's so funny. You were talking about peaks and valleys a little while ago. Trick-taking games are riding a serious peak right now. I remember when, I don't know how long ago it was, 80 years ago or something, you couldn't sell a trick-taking game if you filled it with gold bars. It was just a dead genre. Like, nobody would publish a trick-taking game.
And some really good ones came out and died on the vine, like Diamonds.
Yeah, absolutely. And now it's
good.
like, it's a huge genre. It's so weird to me.
It's also being used as a mechanic to drive bigger games like Brian Boru and things like that. Like, it's really in vogue right now.
In vogue is a good way to put it. Yeah.
You know what else is in vogue? Our next game. It's called You Lying Sack.
Yeah, it's not in vogue. You're lying.
This is from the Exploding Kittens team. I know that's a big surprise there. And they're teaming up with magician Penn Jillette from the duo Penn and Teller, which you can see if you come to Dice Tower West.
That's right. At the Rio.
We often get discounts on the tickets there, too, to see them. They're right. It's like literally...
It's
2 minutes away from the convention.
Yeah, right.
You just go around the corner.
Yeah. Now, this game obviously is going for a particular market, kind of the Exploding Kittens market, which is a huge market, first of all. But I think it was essential that they got the look of the sack right. And I got to tell you, they knocked it out of the park. That is a very, very enticing sack right there.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the game here. I don't know what Mike is talking about.
That's a good look.
You are essentially in this game offering someone something, and they have to accept it or not. It sounds like a riff on cockroach poker, frankly.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Except it's called
You Lying Roach
Sack, which is going to sell a lot of games.
It's going to sell a ton, yeah.
All right. Next, we have a new game coming out called Trio. This is a follow-up on Nana.
It's a new old. Yeah, so I guess Nana was the Japanese game, the original game, and now a French publisher is republishing
Cocktail Games.
as Trio, right?
Yes.
Oh, those are beautiful cards.
Yeah, they really are nice looking. They contrast well with the cat.
Mexican Loteria.
Is this another trick-taking game? It looks like it, right?
No, it says, okay, there's 36 cards. You have cards in your hand, and you sort them from low to high.
Yeah, they did that.
And then you choose a single card to reveal, either the low or high from a player's hand, including your own, or any face-down card from the table.
Okay.
And then do it again. If 2 cards are the same number, you keep going. It reminds, so I guess there's a little memory, I guess.
I'm out.
It also feels a little bit like Skull to some degree.
Yeah. Oh.
And if you find
I see.
3 numbers of the same, if you find 3 cards of the same number, you take them as a set in front of you. But it's not just memory. Since cards are ordered from smallest to largest, you're also using logic. Okay, I just saw you play an 11. I know you don't have a 12 in your hand.
Exactly. Okay.
I would try it.
Oh, sure, I would try it. The memory part would probably...
It looks pretty. I like the look of the cards. I like that new box. It's a really pretty box.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely give this a go. I'm always interested in quirky little card games. So.
Companies are often very good about announcing things. Sometimes they do stuff secretly, and sometimes it makes no sense, and that's the case of this next one, Monolyth. This game is from CMON.
Yeah.
I heard nothing about this until it literally showed up in our doorstep. We've already played it. We're reviewing it next week, I think.
It's a Phil Walker Harding game from CMON that no one knew about. It's like, here you go. It's not a small box game either. It's a regular sized box with chunky plastic pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to finish levels of your Monolyth. You're building this either 4x4 or 4x3 or 4x4x4, depending on number of players. And you're finishing levels, putting colors on different sides. It's a very, very simple game.
It has a patchwork style, kind of mechanism for claiming tiles and claiming those things.
More coming in our review, but it's weird because it's very rare when we announce a game and then the week after we review that game.
Yeah, I agree.
As of a couple of days ago, this didn't have a BGG listing. I don't know if it's. I still don't know if it does.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's supposed to release in mid-November, so that's next week. Okay. All right, Catan. Zee, it's about time for you to start reading again.
I agree.
You should read the novelization of Catan.
Well, it sounds very interesting. It begins set in Viking, in the old world, in the Viking nations. And it talks about these Viking lads who go out exploring. Seems very historically accurate. The year seems right. The location seems right. And then they end up arriving at this unknown island called Catan. And they settle that land.
It sounded... when he started this, I thought he was being sarcastic.
No, he's being serious.
But
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I know. I was flabbergasted when I read this description because it begins set in our world and at some point becomes a fantasy board game land. I was just kind of blown away by that.
And this is supposed to be the first of a trilogy of books, right?
Yes.
the next one's called Seafarers.
Yeah, that's right. He's going to go the George R.R. Martin route. You'll get the next one in 27 years.
We're almost at 12 years, Mr. Martin. Seriously.
Yeah, this is, what do you think, Tom? This sounds strange to me.
I wasn't interested until I read the description. Now I'm more interested, but still, that cover is... My word.
If only we knew somebody in the board gaming world that did audiobooks that can do an audiobook version of this. I might be interested.
As funny as it is, I never listen. I've only listened to one Eric Summer book, and I'm very that was not one I should have listened to. I did it for comedy purposes.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with audiobooks because I read so fast. Shut up. And it's hard for me to slow down. But every time I say this, you yell at me. Yeah.
I would never, Tom.
All right. This next cover, though, looks pretty cool. This is Unboxed, and this is also a book.
A nonfiction book.
A nonfiction
book? It doesn't look like a nonfiction thing, but it's board game experience and design. This is from MIT Press. Actually, this already came out.
Yeah.
It's from designer Gordon Kaleja.
Yeah, he did Vengeance, I believe. Mighty Boards, I think he works with.
Got it.
I'm pretty sure that
this is about designing a board game. I'll tell you, they lost me right away because the word board game is one word, not two words. I'm sorry, I'm a stickler for that. It's two words, board game.
That's also all not capitalized. You have a problem with that too?
A little bit.
That's a stylistic choice.
I'm choosing to think he's a big fan of E. Cummings.
Yeah. Well, then maybe E. Cummings would have slammed two words together.
The letters would have been going diagonally across the page. But I do like that cover art. I like that image. But
I don't know. These books, I'm always curious, like, who's reading them? Like, and also... do they help? I don't know how. So if I'm going to design a board game, and I'm like, I would like some advice.
Right.
Somebody says, hey, play test it with people you don't know. Send it to. And I hear some good advice. I'm like, oh, that is a good idea. But I've yet to hear any designer say, hey, I read a book on board game design, and that's why I'm where I'm at today.
Yeah, I don't know. Now there's a couple of interesting things. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. But I thought that he was a professor. I think that might be his career, and if so, perhaps he teaches game design. I do know that there are, game design.
But this isn't about isn't about game design anyway.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
he says the last line here says, by tracing the process through which players experience these moments of rule-mediated, imagine-fueled sociality, Kaleha helps us understand the richness of the gameplay experience packed into a humble board game box. That's cool.
Yeah.
For me, I read that, and I don't know if the designer, the author intends it, it just sounds pretentious. I play a game for fun.
It sounds academic.
Yeah, academic and pretentious. There's a line in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I could read it and be like, oh, this is interesting. I just wonder who it's for. It might be for other academics.
It could be.
Who look at board gaming as a children's experience.
That's a good point. You know, that could very well be, actually, yeah.
It could be getting into more of the sociological elements of gaming in general. There's a whole thing right now how gamification has become a bigger part of people's lives. And, who knows? I haven't read the book, obviously. But
well, let's see what games he's designed, all his games. Wow, he really looks like the guy, Jeff Goldblum. Excavation Earth, Vengeance, you said, Post-Human Saga. He has 21 credits on Board Game Geek. And when I did a search for Google, though, for his name, the first thing that popped up was actually author.
Oh, interesting.
He did Unboxed Board Games, but in 2011, he did a book called In-Game From Immersion to Incorporation. And that was where he was talking about digital games.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. You might be right, Mike. He might indeed be a professor then.
Well, here's his bio. I am currently in...
It looks nothing like Jeff Goldblum in that picture.
Right.
No, he doesn't. Sorry. Okay. I'm currently an associate professor and director at the Institute of Digital Games at the University of Malta. Did he know Richard Ham?
I think Mighty Boards is based in Malta. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he...
Prior to founding the Institute of Digital Games, I was the director of the Center of Games Research at ITU for 5 years. I've also founded Mighty Box, a video game design studio, and Mighty Boards. I didn't even know Mighty Box existed.
I didn't either, honestly, yeah.
A board game design studio and publisher. So I didn't realize he's a publisher and designer.
Yeah.
Ew.
I didn't know Malta had a university. How about that?
We've learned a lot from that one paragraph.
Why would you not assume Malta would have a university, right?
I don't know.
Well, not every small island has a university.
U of M.
Don't act like you knew this stuff. What is this?
U of M.
All
right. What do we got? What's next? What other book are we talking about today? Can we go back to food?
All right. So we have the Fairplay results.
Isn't food.
The final results.
Final results from Fairplay. So Fairplay is a magazine in Germany, and they ask people at the Spiel Fair in Essen what their favorite games are, and they tell them, and then they publish a top 10. This is always going to be geared towards shorter games that you can actually play, or more people will play.
Yeah.
You can demo any game there, but fewer people are going to play Ark Nova than, say, a short game.
Cat in the Box, which
also,
is the leading. Yeah.
How close you are to the Fairplay booth,
That matters, yeah, it matters.
All right, but anyway, number one here is Cat in a Box.
Yes.
That was definitely hot. Tribes of the Wind.
Yes.
Turing Machine. QE, which has been out in America for a while, but I think just hit Germany.
I believe that's correct, yeah.
Splendor Duel. Acropolis. I can't read the next one.
Atiwa, I think.
Atiwa. Oh, that's a new Uwe Rosenberg game. That's in that missing suitcase, which supposedly... No, don't clap till it's here. It's on its way.
Okay.
What do you mean it's on its way?
As of this morning, there's
as of this morning, it has been found, and...
Says it's on its way to Miami.
She may have pulled off a miracle.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Me too.
I'm beyond impressed. Somebody's getting a big kudos from me. Okay, all right. Atiwa, I should mention, by the way, breaks that trend that we're talking about where it's a lighter, close-by game.
Right.
Atiwa was neither one of those things to where Fairplay was located.
That's
and it's,
true.
Not light. So
that is true.
That's a feat
But it is
itself.
Uwe, and Uwe carries a lot of weight.
Yeah. Where's Viking Seesaw in here, though? Because that's Knizia.
Viking Seesaw should
Well,
be
interestingly enough, Kites made the list.
Yeah, I am
I
surprised.
really feel
by
like
that.
I need to hunt down Kites and put it back in the library.
Well, Cat in a Box was really interesting because really from what I understand, the only publisher that was supposed to be selling it there was Hobby Japan. And they had a very small supply, and when they ran out, I believe that then Bezier got permission to sell maybe 150 copies. I thought I read that, but I'm not positive.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Then there's a list of honorable mentions on here, too. Interestingly enough, and we'll talk about this game next week, Federation here has the highest rating of any game on the list, but just didn't get enough ratings.
Right.
It also is a 2-hour game.
It is.
So that's a 4.8. And then Inside Job from Cosmos got a 4.3. And then
know
the
what
Guild.
that is?
It's like a 2-player game, I think. Like a looks almost like the 2-player line of Cosmos.
I don't remember seeing that.
I saw the cover.
And then the Guild of Merchant Explorers, Beer and Bread, and Feed the Kraken, which I will get played at some point.
Yeah, we'll need to play that.
Applejack is another Uwe Rosenberg game.
That's 2 Uwe Rosenberg games. So that's interesting. Let's move on, though. Let's go to The Last of Us. So The Last of Us.
Oh, wow. That cover is intense.
This is it's a board game adaptation of a video game that's very popular. I don't know a whole lot about the video game. It's made by the folks from Themeborn, the board game, which is the UK studio behind Escape the Dark series, which many people enjoy that series.
Escape the Dark Sector.
I am not in that group. In fact, I think the Escape the Dark series is one of my least favorite games I've ever played. I really hate it. I hate the artwork. I hate everything about it. This, I don't like the cover. I don't like the way the board. I mean, obviously, I don't think everything's in black and white. I'm assuming.
I think everything is in black and white. I think that's the thing.
point.
That's what Escape the Dark does, right? That's what they always do.
Right. I think
Is The Last of Us, is that video game in black and white?
No. not at all.
It's almost photorealistic. I mean, it's I think Naughty Dog Studios. It's really highly acclaimed. I haven't played it, but I think it's mostly story driven with a lot of like
end of the world scenario.
right.
The people basically surviving this zombie-esque sort of epidemic, or people are growing these mushrooms in their head and they become zombies. That top one there with a weird mushroom-headed person looks like one of their games, Tom.
Oh my word, yes.
The one at the bottom only looks that way because it's all black and white, but the cover looks to be basically inspired by the video game. So I'm confused. Are we looking at 2 games here?
No. So here's the thing. I mean, this is going to crowdfunding, I believe. So who knows if either of these are final? You know what I mean? This could just be placeholder.
Yeah, it's going. When is it on Kickstarter right now? I know it's going soon.
It'll probably do very well. I know this game carries a lot of weight.
It's going to Kickstarter November 8th.
Yeah, it's likely to do well.
Okay, yeah, I think it'll do very well.
All right. Okay, and finally, yesterday, Stonemaier announced you can pre-order the Wings. Well, we knew this was coming. It's not a surprise, but the Wingspan nesting box, in an attempt to have the biggest box in the market. The contest is fierce. I fully expect in 4 or 5 years there'll be a box as big as Tom Vasel, which would be a humongous box.
I get it.
I'm saying it before you can. I gotta beat him.
Stop talking about reading so fast.
Keep eating that kale, and it won't be that big of a box.
But okay, so this you could pre-order it yesterday, and if you did, you also got the newest expansion, the Asian expansion inside the box, and it comes with a whole bunch of. Is it game trays?
I don't
think it's game trays, but
no.
it's like game tray stuff.
Okay.
This is right on the heels of the viticulture box. He did the exact same thing.
Oh, that's right, that wine crate thing.
You had the wine crate, and it came with the Viticulture World expansion inside. Sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. So it did the exact same thing here. Now, the price difference is pretty significant between the wine crate and this, I think.
This is
$100.
$100. Now, before you get too caught up in that, I'm paying $100 for a box. No, you get that expansion in it, which goes for around $40. So you're only paying $60 for a box.
Plus shipping.
Plus shipping. Also, the pre-order sold out like instantly.
Almost
to the point where I saw many people yelling that by the time they get off work, they could not get the game.
And
now, you'll still be able to get it.
Yes.
You just won't be able to get it, I think, with the expansion in it.
It probably will not. I think the first print run comes with the expansion.
Someone in the chat says it sold out 6 hours, 5 to 6 months for the next printing.
Yeah.
The good news is this, folks. You don't need this box to enjoy Wingspan.
I don't know about that. Okay. Hold on.
No, but I mean, the expansion should be out very soon, and that you can play.
Yeah,
I haven't decided I'm getting the box yet. That's a lot of money for a box.
I looked at it yesterday, early on when it was announced, and I was like, I just could not bring myself to do it. I don't know. I have the big Scythe box, right? I've got the big Everdell box.
Okay.
I'm kind of like, where am I going to put all of these things?
I'll tell you what, so far...
I also have the big viticulture box.
I'm tempted by a lot of board gaming stuff. Mm-hmm. I have yet to buy a box for my other boxes. I don't have any of them.
Well, Everdell I did, because then you're taking like 6 boxes to one. That to me made sense, even though it's a gigantic box.
You were technically getting expansions.
Yes.
You were technically getting expansions.
Right.
And the box was part of that shebang.
I got 2 expansions there. Yeah.
The whole buying a box to keep my other boxes, I get it. It looks cute and cool, and it's all in one place. And I am a big fan of one game being in one box, so I understand the drive.
Yeah, but are you a big fan of that when the box is that big?
At some point, it's too much. I gotta, like, go to the gym just to play some board games, but it's $60. That's a board game, and I'm buying just the garb for the board game here.
Right.
That's a little much. At some point, it's just a box.
Also, I feel like these storage systems, because it's more than that, it's also a storage system, really only are worth it if they do aid the setup and teardown time. And some do better than others on that. I can't speak for the nesting box. I have no idea. But some of those actually do, like, significantly.
Recently, the Castle of Mad King Ludwig was amazing. I just opened it up and everything's there. I've heard also Anachrony is very similar to that
good
regard.
like that, yeah.
But then Suburbia was a mess to open up that box. The first game to do this that I can think of was the Sentinels of the Multiverse. Remember that giant black
oh my gosh,
thing?
yeah, that's right.
Which is not even as big as these Wingspan and Everdell boxes,
Yeah.
but nobody ever pulled it off our shelf.
Right. It's intimidating.
Like, I don't know if I want this in a Dice Tower library. I don't think I'm putting the Everdell one in Dice Tower library. I mean, there comes a point where I'm like, there's one shelf with 5 games on it. Come on.
Yeah, and it becomes the question of, if you just want to play that, let's use Everdell as an example, since you're kind of wrestling with whether you put it in there or not. If you want to play base game Everdell, you just want to play Everdell, and you see this gigantic box and you open it and you've got 17 trays in there, you're probably going to be like, you know what? I don't want to have to sift through this and figure it out.
I wouldn't.
For
a
my
game I don't know, I wouldn't.
Even the Queen big boxes, which are not as big as these, give me that option. I open it up and I'm like, don't need this, don't need this, don't need. You're like taking everything out, and eventually you're like, here's the base game. That's why, at least with the Castle of Mad King Ludwig, which I like so much, was I sat there and said, I'm using 90% of the stuff in this box. It's not that hard to incorporate. We're in.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
hey, in the comments, everyone is like raving that they got the box. I get it. So, and if this one will do very well.
Be excited about it. That we're not trying to make anyone lose any joy.
Now, if I ever see the one I don't like, what happened is what AEG did with that giant smash-up box, and then they're like, ha 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 ha, just kidding. Here's a bigger one.
Right.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
They did that?
Yeah, there was
I missed that.
Yes.
Also, if you're going to, and from what I understand, the nesting box does this, it's accounting for any future content too, and that's a really dicey game that you play there. If you're going to give me a complete storage solution, account for future-proof it. You know what I mean? And it sounds like they're doing that there.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that next week.
That happened to Niroshima Hex. Year of Moloch edition came out with a base game, so 4 factions, but an insert designed for every faction, and a player reference in that nice plastic they do for every faction. So that was in there. All you needed to do was, have or get the factions. It was slightly delayed. By the time it came out, it already was outdated because there was already a faction that wouldn't fit in it.
Oh, man.
Like, immediately outdated.
That's
out of the door. That's unfortunate. So I'm a big believer in that future-proofing idea. You gotta be sure.
If you're billing it as a complete storage solution.
So you'd rather one that's future-proof.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Me too.
All right. Well, and that's the news.